The appropriate phases for Olympic lifting in the optimal periodization within the OPT model. Periodization, I love it. At its most basic level, the typical athletic cycle consists of 4 periods: preparatory, first transition, competition, and second transition, or active rest. The preparatory period addresses endurance, work capacity, strength, and then power. The first transition phase shifts to a short unloading period, while the goal of the competition phase is to maintain all these qualities. The second transition is a period of active rest. This is known as periodization of training. It is symmetrical, applied using the OPT model. The early phases of the OPT model are designed to train the stability systems and restore flexibility, mobility, and neuromuscular control. Once proper function is restored, force-tension relationship, sequential firing patterns, etc., strength and power can be addressed. The Olympic lifts primarily develop strength and power, qualities desired in the latter stages of this periodized training program that also require ample flexibility, stability, and neuromuscular control. Within the OPT model, the Olympic lifts are inserted into phases 5 and 6. Lifts to be used in phase 4 of the OPT model, maximum strength. Lifts to be used in this phase of training would be back squats, front squats, snatch, and clean deadlifts, and bench press. While building strength with these auxiliary exercises, the technical aspects of the classic lifts, such as the snatch, clean, and jerk, can begin to be taught. The sports performance professional may want to start training sessions with snatch and clean technique work, and then move on to the strength work so the athlete will not be exhausted while training to learn the more technical tasks. Volume and intensity of training should be modified according to the experience and talent level of the athlete. Beginning athletes start with higher volumes and lower intensities. As an athlete gains technical mastery and conditioning, the volume decreases while the intensity increases. As the athlete becomes a veteran at weight training, squats and pulls become the most important exercise in this phase, and as such, should be performed first in the daily plan. The snatching, the clean, and jerk are executed at the end of the program. Phase 5 and 6 of the OP model, power training and maximum power training. The primary resistance training exercises designed to enhance power are the snatch and the clean and jerk, or their derivatives. The power snatch and power clean. Phase 5 is the phase where these lifts become an integral part of the training program. In cases where athletes cannot achieve the deep catch position of the full lifts, the power snatch and the power clean are preferred. So, speed and quality are important coaching components. One should not sacrifice these for increased load. In any daily training plan, the most important exercises are scheduled first. Thus, when training for power, the Olympic lifts are performed before the strength derivatives, such as squats and pulls. Timing the Olympic lifts for sports season. Arabas et al. Conducted a comparison study, but conducted a comparison study, but included a combined plyometric and weightlifting group. They found that weightlifting, plyometrics, and a combination of the two all produce significant improvements in the vertical jump height and biomechanics, with no difference between them after 8 weeks of training. Yet, they suggested that each method may have a place at different stages of the competitive season, with Olympic lifts being more appropriate in the preseason period of the training program, whereas a combination of plyometrics and Olympic lifts may be best used in the transition phase from preseason into in-season. This study also shows that Olympic lifts can be used to improve jumping and landing mechanics. For those who have dysfunctions within the landing area scoring system test, properly executing the Olympic lifts may become an important part of their training program. For programming purposes, it should also be noted that this study suggests a period of 8 weeks of training for overall athletic improvement. Based upon NASM recommendations, the best time for an 8-week program, including the Olympic lifts, should be the 8 weeks prior to the beginning of the season. With the last few weeks, including plyometric training to complement the effectiveness of the Olympic lifts in the regimen. The Olympic lifts and their derivatives have long been a popular form of training to enhance athletic performance. The Olympic lifts should not be viewed as the most important part of a training program, just as they should not be viewed as the only part that signifies the athletic ability of an individual. These lifts are specialized in serving sport performance. However, enough evidence does exist to show that these lifts and their variations can be effectively used to complement other components of integrated training. Whether they are utilized to seek improvements or change things up for the athlete, the Olympic lifts can provide improvements in sports performance. The professionals need to ensure they are programmed effectively and the technique is executed appropriately to seek maximal improvements and avoid potential injury with these lifts. The goal of this form of training is to improve maximal strength and explosive power that will transfer to the demands of the sport. Before engaging in an Olympic lifting program, it is important the athlete possesses the proper prerequisites to perform Olympic lifts safely and effectively. Flexibility, stability, and neuromuscular control must be established before engaging into an Olympic lift program. Proper coaching on technique and stability cues should also be provided prior to increasing training intensity of these lifts. Finally, goals of the form of training is to improve maximal strength. Is important athlete flexibility, stability, and neuromuscular. Proper coaching on technique and stability cues should also be provided prior to increasing training intensity of these lifts. Finally, due to the adaptation goals, these lifts are useful for developing maximal strength and power phase 4 or 5.